joined by Catherine Freshley, who is here from the El Toro Water District. Well, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much.
Great. So I know you have a few things that you would like to update us on about the Water District. So we'll just let you start right off. Looks like you want to talk a little bit about financials.
Right. I want to talk about the budgeting process that we have, which is really quite similar to what is done in the village. Although in the Water District, we have a few other issues that we typically have to work with, plus we're governed by law as to the actions that we can take, which is, quite different from the housing mutuals.
Okay.
And we have several financial objectives that we really are that we have to cover. We have to have sufficient revenue to cover the operations and the capital budgets. We have, because which is different from housing, from the mutuals, of which I had been very much involved in, is, when any of our capital projects are typically handled by bonding, particularly if they're a large project, just like the recycled water program. And so in doing that, when you have bonds outstanding, then typically they are pretty commanding on meeting debt coverage ratios, of making sure, because they're watching the books to make sure that we're following. So it reduces some of the flexibility that we might have, particularly when setting rates or not even setting rates, as to the exposure that they would have, which most investors are always concerned about.
Okay.
So these are the restrictions that you have with the Water District that you don't have within the housing mutuals. And our board itself, the whole purpose of what we're trying to do is to make sure that we are maintaining or controlling costs effectively and stretching for efficiencies on a continuing basis, which, when I was involved in housing mutuals, we always did that too.
Okay.
So those are the financial objectives. And what are the cost drivers that we have? Well, different from a lot of water districts, we don't have any natural supply. All of our water is imported. So we are dependent upon then the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California and Metropolitan Water District of Orange County, which supplies our water. So that, so a good part of our water comes from Northern California, and the impact of that is that what happens in the Bay Delta area influences our situation, and how much water we're going to get. Because as you know, all you have to do is read the paper, and occasionally the allocation, which would be 100%, might drop to 20%. So then you're really scrambling to find out where are we going to get adequate water, for the community. We also have the source of the Colorado River. So that water is one of our sources also. And it's balanced, and all of that water then is processed through the Deemer plant, which is up in Yorba Linda, and by the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California.
Right.
Recently, we made an investment in the Baker, there's the new treatment plant, Baker treatment plant, where we can take untreated water and treat it and use it for us. And one of the things that we have done there is that, to give us an alternate supply. And so we can, now have a little bit more flexibility than we have. We're not just reliant on one treatment plant to have our water.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things we really have to balance, though, is the long-term capital issue. And you'll see on the slides, there's a slide that shows a reservoir, which is to the right when that's projected. And that reservoir has a cover on it. That reservoir is the largest reservoir in Orange County. It was built by the Water District many years ago. Presently, it's jointly owned by El Toro and by the Santa Margarita Water District.
Right.
but it's covered, so we don't have losses, the evaporation losses.
Mhm.
That cover though is expensive, and we're anticipating within the next couple of years of having to spend $5 million just to put a new cover on that thing because it's about 20 years old.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And then the next thing you're going to see on the slide is, our wastewater that hasn't been recycled, basically, which is the water and all the solids, we have to take down to the South Orange County Water District, SACWA, which is a JPA, which is a Joint Powers Authority, consisting of 10 different agencies. And they're responsible for processing then our sewage and the solid waste. Some of it, once it's concentrated, then that's used for fertilizer. But the liquid from that then is cleaned adequately in order to discharge into the ocean. Well, going forward, SACWA we're going to be investing over the next 5 to 10 years, another $8 million just in SACWA.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the water district area, you talk about a lot of money, and it's all infrastructure.
Yeah.
What we want to make sure of is we're current. We don't want to find ourselves like in Flint, where they end up with poor water because of decaying pipes and things like this. So, it's urgent that we, for our own health and safety, we need to be making these capital investments. So that's one of the things that really drives us, making sure that when we have any, if we have any increase in our rates, it's to ensure that we are adequately covering the purchase of water and making sure that we're going to have the capitalization for the agency and for providing adequate service to the customers. We're looking then at a rate increase for next year, which is going to be 7 cents per 100 cubic feet. Now, what is that increase, commodity rate increase? It's about 1 to 3%. And then there's also going to be a fixed meter rate increase, which runs between 6.5 to 7.5 cents, because the meters periodically you have to be changing those out, and so the fixed meter charge is that which covers the cost for us to service those. We're not going to be increasing the sewer rates, and we're not going to be increasing the capital rates. So the total rate increase we're forecasting, or we're planning on implementing, is about 1.4 to 2.6%.
Okay.
What does it mean to the community? Well, you'll see one of the slides there, and it shows basically what it means overall. But it works out to be essentially $1 per manor per month, which would be in your monthly assessments.
Well, that's not too bad.
Well, no, we're trying to make it so that, we want to position ourselves so that we really have the capital infrastructure to provide to provide the water, clean, fresh, adequate, and you've had Dennis Cafferty on to explain, the quality of our water, and we want to ensure that we have that quality. We have a sewer system that doesn't create issues by overflowing or by not carrying or properly processing the water for effective discharge into the ocean. It's just part of life, in a society, and it's our obligation to make sure we're doing the best situation, to have the best outcome for everybody.
Right. No, I mean, it takes a lot. Like you said, there's a lot of behind the scenes things I don't think any of us realize. Obviously, a cover that costs $5 million. I mean, nobody would really know that unless you told us. So thank you for sharing all the information. We appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. Okay. Is there anything else that you have relative to the water district that I haven't spent 5 or 10 minutes talking continuously about?
Well, no, you know what, you guys have done a great job. We've had, like you mentioned, we had Dennis on, and we've had other people over time. And, it's nice that you're able to talk differently about each different aspect to what goes into it. And I think, coming out and letting people know, yes, there's going to be an increase, but only making it $1 increase really is ideal, because who knows, other water districts could be raising it even higher.
Well, and one of the things that we had to look at, because it was a question, should we not raise it at all? But all that does is just then put further down that we're going to have a bigger increase later. And I think that personally, that's misleading to people.
Right.
You don't want to mislead people on say, well, it isn't going to cost you anymore. And so you're responding to the immediate situation as opposed to being realistic. What is life about, and what do we need to ensure that we have an appropriate future, not something that's going to be a surprise 2 or 3 years down the road, and we have to raise it $2 or $3 per man per month to cover what we didn't collect this time.
Right. Perfect. Very well said. Well, Catherine, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you again.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we'll be right back after this.